Here we are, the first race of the day, 127C, the Premier Open Women's Small Boat. And on the far side, we have the Queensland crew. And on this side, which is the beach side, we have the South Australian crew. So both sides are going very, very well at the moment. It'll be interesting to see as we head into the turns exactly which side is going into the turns first. Certainly from where I'm standing at the moment, the two women's crews look as though they're just about even, although maybe on the far side the Queensland crew has just got a fraction of a lead over the South Australian crew. So as they go into the turns, down the finish end is the Queensland women are certainly into the turn very, very nicely, and they're now looking for the apex, and on the far up the top of the crews is the South Australian who have gone into the apex as well. So both the women's crews have gone round through the apex very nicely. Maybe the Queensland Opens team has gone around, starting the turn earlier than the South Australian crew. But they're looking at it. The Queensland women's crew is starting to come around and ready to go up the straight, whereas the South Australian women's crew is yet to make the final turn. So the Queensland women's crew are into the straight, heading north, and then or maybe south again, and the Queensland men's crew has made up quite a lot of ground, whereas the South Australian men are just a wee bit off the distance-wise from the women's crew. So the Queensland women are certainly heading up the straight. The men's crew is doing very, very well, and they're going up exceedingly well, and they've caught quite a bit of distance up for their women's crew, although they've still got some distance to make. On the far side, we've got the South Australian women's crew coming up to the halfway point of the straight, whereas the Queensland women have gone through the straight. But the South Australian men are certainly making every road to catch their women, and so it'll be interesting to see when we go through the next boys and see who goes through first. Queensland ladies are going certainly very, very well on the beach side of the course, and they're coming up to their turning buoy, whereas the South Australian ladies are just a wee bit off behind but the South Australian Opens crew, the men's crew behind, has caught up a lot of ground. Now we see the Queensland men's crew starting to get very close to their women's crew as well. So this is going to be very interesting because their men's crew and both South Australia and Queensland are getting very close to their women's crew. So at the top of the course, which is the 200-metre start, the Queensland women have gone through and they're coming around to the apex, whereas the South Australian women are still yet to make the apex. Both crews are going very, very well, both ends of the course, although it looks from here that the Queensland, both their crews have gone through the apex and now starting to get to the other side of the course, whereas this side, they're just a fraction behind. The South Australian ladies have gone quite wide, and that's forcing their men wide as well, so that's will have a bearing on their movements in the next 10, 20 metres, because their men will want to maybe get on the outside of them. Up on the top end of the course, the Queensland men look as though they're starting to pick up their ladies, and if they go anything what the seniors did, the men's crew went on the inside. But we'll look at them, see what they're going to do, and up there. But down here, this is South Australia, and they're going through. Their men also not too sure whether they're going to go on the inside or the outside. We'll get a better idea once they catch them. Now, the Queensland ladies are certainly making every post a winner because of the fact their men are taking a bit of time to catch them. And as you can see, they are going on the outside of their women's crew. Now, and on this side, the South Australian also are going on the outside of their women's crew as well. Down the back straight, and it looks as though on the far side that the Queenslanders are in front of the South Australians on the beach side of the course. So we'll wait to see as they go into the turn exactly who is in front. Certainly South Australia have done very, very well, but the Queensland crew look as though they may, in fact, go into the turn first. So watch now for the next 20 metres or so and see what happens, but the Queensland on the far side are going to go into the turn first, and now to see the South Australian crew now just starting to make the turn now. So both crews for both states are neck and neck together. So, and something's happened here with the Queensland crew. She's got to make the inside of that buoy, outside of that buoy, and she has not made the outside of that buoy. So that has a bearing on the result, whereas the South Australian have gone round both buoys. So There's a problem there with the Queenslanders, and unfortunately, they've missed a buoy. The ladies' crew has missed a buoy, and the men's crew is coming around the outside. So up on the top of the course, it's the South Australian crew. They're a wee bit behind, but unfortunately, one of the crews in the Queensland has missed the buoy, and that will probably mean a penalty. Anyway, they're now into the straight, the Queensland crew, so they are heading for home, and it'll just be a matter of how quickly they can get home in front of the South Australians on the far side. So the men's crew have caught them and going past the women's crew, which is fine, no trouble at all, but on the far side, the two crews of South Australia are going together. So just coming down towards the end of the race, and the two crews from South Australia are together, and on this side, the Queensland crews are together as well. So they come up to the final buoy, which is the finishing buoy, and on the far side, they're just a wee bit behind South Australia. Queensland seem to be just in front, and they have now finished their race, and South Australia just finishing theirs. So just a bit of a problem with the women's crew for Queensland on the finish line buoys, whereby she did miss a buoy. My knowledge of the rules is that will be a penalty, time penalty. However, I'll leave that up to the officials, the chief official and the judges, because of the fact that it's not me to call it.